Hey guys, HDV here and welcome to a brand new video. Today we've got a ton of new information to go over. New Pokemon events have been revealed for numerous different Pokemon games. We also have a new rumored Generation 10 image that has dropped. We have Generation 10 rumors to go over and some Nintendo Switch 2 updates to take a look at as well. Plenty of things to break down today. If you're excited for the video, drop a like down below, leave a comment, subscribe if you're brand new, and let's get into the video. So, starting things off, let's take a look at the new Pokemon events. The first one comes to us for Pokemon Scarlet and Pokemon Violet. No idea why they did a gap between this event and the last one, but either way, the 7-star raid events are now back in the Generation 9 game. So we've got Cerebi here tweeting out saying, Cerebi update, the next 7-star Terra Raid battle event has been fully revealed. You can battle against a flying Terra type Salamence. It runs from the 18th of April through to the 20th of April, and then again a week later from the 25th of April and to the 27th of April, should I say. So this is the new event for the next 2 weeks. Nothing really exciting. They're just kind of going through powerhouse Pokemon, so Pokemon like Dragonite, Tyranitar, Salamence, etc. So it wouldn't surprise me if we start seeing Pokemon like Metagross also getting 7-star raids. So that is for Pokemon Scarlet and Pokemon Violet. And then next up we have a new event that's been announced for Pokemon Masters EX. So we've got Cerebi here tweeting out saying, Cerebi update, the next Pokemon Masters EX event has been announced, the second Academy event. So it adds Morty and a Hisuian Typhlosion and also Marnie and Cyclizar into the game. This runs from the 15th of April 2025. So those are some of the new events that are now live or that have been announced for various different Pokemon games. The next thing that I wanted to go over is this post here from Soul Silver Art regarding the rivals in Pokemon Legends ZA. So they are here tweeting out saying the Pokemon Legends ZA protagonist names being Paxton, which is obviously peace, and then Harmony. So obviously it's a kind of a cool thing that they have X and Y in the names. Was a fun little detail, but it's very curious that they have specifically different names from our rivals. So this further solidifies that Urbane and Tawny are their own independent characters from our protagonists, and yet they're still literal reskins of the protagonists. So usually when the rival is our opposite unused gender variant, the names remain the same. It seems that these characters may have a big part to play in Pokemon Legends ZA's plot, to which I have plenty of various theories for coming soon. I mean, there's been a lot of theories right now that obviously the rivals are related to Lysander, and then obviously we're related to Sycamore, and those theories are seeming more and more likely with information that's kind of like coming out and stuff, and just other theories that people are kind of like putting together. And it wouldn't surprise me because they do generally have traits of both of those characters. Like you can kind of see Lysander in the rivals with the blue eyes and the sort of reddish hair, and then also with the male and the female protagonist you can kind of see the Sycamore vibes there as well, with the eye color and the hair color and stuff like that. So wouldn't surprise me if they do have links, whether they are directly descending from them or they're like aunties or uncles or whatever, who knows. But we also have this post here from Yoden saying, same as Pokemon Legends Arceus, we were really playing Dawn or Lucas and our rivals were Ray and Akari. They just used the same skins, and then all the more reason to believe something is up, because that's a big lore drop. So I really hope that that is the case, and the character that you pick obviously depends on what rival you get, but I really hope that that has some sort of relevance to the story, because then you can play as the male protagonist and obviously have the certain rival that you get, and then you can play as the female protagonist and have the other rival, and then maybe it changes the story slightly, so it gives you kind of two playthroughs and it gives you a different playthrough both times. That would be really cool. Who knows if that's going to be the situation, but I assume that they are going to have relatively big roles, and we already know that they're very likely to be in the sort of ZA kind of ranking up things. We're probably going to have to battle them quite a lot throughout that. It's very interesting to see how it all goes, but yeah, it does look like they are going to have quite a big role to play in Pokemon Legends ZA. Coming up next, we have this update to go over about the Nintendo Switch 2. This was posted from Go Nintendo tweet saying Nintendo confirms the Switch 2 has been shipped into the US and they really hope they can meet demand. So this was an article that dropped on the 7th of April, so a week ago. Again, we still don't have pre-orders right now for America and Canada, Hopefully we get an update about that soon, and again, when we do, I will let you guys know as soon as possible. But it says Nintendo confirms Switch 2 has been shipped into the US and they really hope they can meet demand. So the Nintendo Switch 2 is launching on the 5th of June 2025. Here in the US, we're still waiting on the opportunity to pre-order the system, which was supposed to happen April the 9th, but Nintendo has delayed that to an unspecified date as they look at how US tariffs will impact their pricing approach. Hopefully we'll get more insight on that soon. What we can rest a little easier about is the Nintendo Switch 2 stock. While Nintendo didn't share numbers, Nintendo of America President Doug Bowser spoke to CNBC and confirmed that the Nintendo Switch 2 units are already stocked up in the US, just waiting for launch day. As a matter of fact, Nintendo has been working hard to stockpile enough units for the platform's global launch. They were trying to get it all in there before obviously all these tariffs came through and stuff. But even though now we know the tariffs have been paused for 90 days, so hopefully they can get even more Nintendo Switch 2 systems into the country. Doug Bowser said Nintendo has had some time to build up inventories on a global basis, and that we really hope they can meet demand at launch. Of course, we won't know if Nintendo did too much or not enough until June the 5th, 2025 rolls around. In other words, you should have a good chance of snagging the system for launch, but none of us will feel 100% safe until we have our pre-orders secured. So yeah, like I say, it's good to know that they are very stocked up in the US on Nintendo Switch 2 systems. Whether that's going to be enough or not, who knows? We won't find that out again until the 5th of June. But a lot of people think that pre-orders are going to go live after the Mario Kart World Tour Direct, which of course is this week. I think it's this Thursday, actually. People think that the pre-orders are going to go live after that, which wouldn't surprise me because that's something they could easily announce after a big Direct like that. We'll obviously just have to wait and see. Next up, we have another update regarding this sort of stockpiling situation, though, in the US. We've got Nintendo Live here tweeting out, saying Nintendo is reportedly stockpiling Switch 2 units for US launch. This was posted a few days later on the 11th of April, and it says most units from Vietnam are apparently being shipped to America. So a new report from Bloomberg states that Nintendo has the potential to build up a stockpile of millions of consoles from Vietnam ahead of the Nintendo Switch 2's launch on the 5th of June 2025. So the article, which has been paywalled, states that Hosiden Corp, which is one of the three main assemblers for the console and based in the Southeast Asian country, apparently shipped more units of the new console in February of this year than the previous 6 months combined. So in February, they went for it. They shipped more than the previous 6 months combined units. Around 725,000 Nintendo Switch 2s were shipped in February alone. This is according to customs data provided to Bloomberg by the NBD. And it looks like Nintendo has been doing this to try and partially avoid the tariff the tariff situation, something which we knew about back in February but didn't know the figures or the number of times it would change. Vietnam, where around a third of Nintendo Switch 2 units are manufactured, was originally going to be hit by a 46% increase in tariffs, which caused Nintendo to delay pre-orders in both the US and Canada. Since then, the president has decided to pause tariffs at a lower rate on most countries for 90 days except China. And then this is the tweet here saying, new data shows Nintendo allocating almost entire made-in-Vietnam game consoles to the US, which is in stark contrast with months before as it tried to find ways to get around the tariffs on goods from China. Story is free for a week. And it says, the Bernstein analyst Robin Shu told Bloomberg that he expects Nintendo to take a hit on a margin if the tariffs remain at 10%, but if they increase to 46%, he expected them to raise the price by $50 to $100. So there are tariffs in place right now. They are 10%, so that is an increase, but it looks like the Nintendo are going to be taking the heavy load of that, and if it is a 10% increase and that's that, they're just going to take the hit. But if it does go up to that 46%, which it potentially could do after this 90-day kind of freeze period, if no deals are set, then that's when you're going to start seeing the Switch 2 go up in price. So in 90 days, which is of course after the Switch 2 comes out, you may start seeing price increases in consoles and stuff. That 90-day pause on higher tariffs gives Nintendo time to think, but with no pre-order date in view in North America just yet, it remains to be seen what Nintendo will do next. While Nintendo of America President Doug Bowser stated last week that tariffs weren't a factor in the pricing of the Switch 2 originally, it is something the company is keeping an eye on, and analysts are warily watching the fluctuations in the stock market as the impact on tariffs remains uncertain, having now tempered expectations for the new console. So a little bit more of an update there regarding stockpiling the console in America, which is happy days, because now I feel like if they did 725,000 units in just February, and that's more than the last 6 months combined, you're probably looking at least like 1.2, 1.3 mil consoles ready to sell in America, and hopefully that number will just get higher and higher because the tariffs have been paused, and it looks like the price is going to stay the same until after the 90-day period, where obviously we'll know more information about that then, but as of right now it's looking okay-ish. But either way, those are the updates regarding the Nintendo Switch 2 in America. Finishing things off for today's video, we have a couple of things to go over regarding Generation 10. A new image has popped up, and then also a new rumor has popped up as well regarding the 10th generation game. So let's take a look at the image first. So we have an underwater scene here with Floatzel and Buizel, and then we also have some Alomomola here as well in the background. And it says down here, Pokemon wins, and then Pokemon Waves. The Pokemon Company says Game Freak, and it says Creatures Inc. I assume that says 2026, because if it said 2024, that would be super dumb, but I think that says 2026, obviously when this game is supposedly coming out. So this looks like a cinematic trailer, a little bit like the Luminion image. Now, the Luminion image has been confirmed basically to be real. This has not been confirmed, and it's very likely fake. It's very likely just somebody kind of jumping on the trend of the Luminion image and trying to like make a legitimate leak. The fact that it's underwater kind of amplifies that. You know, if there was a Gen 10 new image rumor, you'd like to think it'd be somewhere else, but it is underwater again. It looks great. I mean, it does look like they are just models that are used in some sort of program, and as well as that, when it's this sort of blurry and stuff and it's taken really badly, it just makes it seem even more fake. Not that the Luminion image was any better, and I don't really understand why people think that's real and like all the others aren't, but apparently there's reasons as to why. But this is apparently a new image coming out about Generation 10. I'm not bothered about showing this because it's very likely to be fake. If it does turn out to be true, then obviously I'll delete the video because I don't want the Nintendo ninjas coming for me. But as of right now, this is kind of another potential image for Gen 10, but obviously, you know, take it with a massive grain of salt. We have a rumor to go over as well. This wasn't the rumor accompanied with this image. This image, I think, was just posted randomly on 4chan. But this is just a new rumor to go over regarding Wind and Waves. So Generation 10, blah, 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 posted by Anonymous on the 9th of April, saying Pokemon Wind and Wave. The region is based on Greece, which again, very likely to be the case. We do know from the Terra leak there's been, it's going to be like an archipelago of islands or something like that. And it's likely to be called something like Pokemon Wind and Waves, which I think is a great name, by the way. I absolutely love the name Wind and Waves. And also it would make sense for like diving to be in the game and stuff if it was about, you know, an archipelago of islands. It says diving, water routes, like wild area that connect islands. There's going to be 7 islands. I really like that idea. So you could go like the kind of underwater route, or you could just go like the normal sailing through island to island route, which I think would be a really nice comparison. And there's going to be 7 islands apparently. The starters are a squid, which is a water type, a dog, which is a fire type, and then also a rabbit, which is a grass type. I don't know if they have the themes of Greece, I'm not sure, but it doesn't feel like it. But anyway, those are apparently the starter Pokemon. We have 8 gyms. We have 4, we have the Elite 4 members, and then we also have a champion, so classic Pokemon experience. I feel like there'd be 8 islands, because then you'd have a gym on every island. So that means that one island is going to be like massive, and it's going to have 2 gyms on it. But then you also have to have the kind of Elite 4 sort of place as well, like where you go to battle the Elite 4 and the champion stuff. I do hope it goes back to like Elite 4 and champions, because that's kind of like my favorite, you know, way of kind of beating the sort of gym trial. Gym leaders are based on ancient Greek gods, so I don't know if you just have like Zeus rocking up or whatever, and you'd have like an electric team or something. The Mega Evolutions are back again from Legend ZA. I'm very skeptical about this because I think that obviously there are going to be a lot of new Mega Evolutions in Legend ZA, but then I think those Mega Evolutions are going to be competitively used in Pokemon Champions. I don't think that Generation 10 is going to keep the Mega Evolutions going. I think that's going to have its own gimmick. It might do something where it has its own gimmick and then it has the Mega Evolutions after the story, very similar to Generation 7 where it had Z-moves and then Mega Evolutions once you beat the game. But I don't know, I just don't really think that's going to be the case. I just think they're going to save the Mega Evolution competitive things for Pokemon Champions. It says lots of divergent evolutions, less regional forms. The National Dex is back. This connects to Champions. If we are ever going to get the National Dex back, it's probably going to be in Pokemon Generation 10 because it's going to be exclusively on the Nintendo Switch 2, which is a console with a lot more power, a lot more storage. They're going to be able to do a lot more on it. So if the National Dex is back, yeah, like I said, I'd expect it to be for Generation 10. One legendary is a Bug Dragon type Pokemon. The DLC revolves around underwater ruins, which would be kind of cool. And then the release is November 2026, which again is when everybody's expecting it to drop. So that is it's an alrightish rumor. It's not something that I necessarily believe. I like the idea of having water routes as well as your normal routes and like water wild areas and stuff. I assume we're going to have some sort of scuba gear when we go underwater and we're not just going to be, you know, like being able to breathe underwater and stuff. But either way, it's going to be more and more kind of Gen 10 stuff coming out now because there's so much Legends EA stuff getting leaked in the Terra Leak. Like I'm assuming you saw Mega Feraligatr over the weekend, which is apparently confirmed to be true. So we have Mega Starmie, we have Mega Feraligatr. They are kind of drip feeding a new Mega Evolution every week. It's like every 10 days or something, they're dropping a new one. And that Terra Leak information is the same as Generation 10 information, which is why we saw the Lumineon image. So we're probably going to see more and more leaks kind of drip feeding on 4chan and Twitter and stuff like that. But anyway, that's going to be everything for today's video. Let me know your thoughts on the Gen 10 rumored image and also the Gen 10 rumor, the Nintendo Switch 2 stuff, all the stockpiling in America, and then also the Legends EA rival stuff. How important do you think they are going to be to the story? And then also the new events as well. But that's everything from me. If you enjoyed the video, drop a like down below. It's trying at 500. Leave a comment. Subscribe if you're brand new. Ring the notification bell for daily Pokemon content. Have a great rest of your day. And until next time, peace.